guys, it's Dawn and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week's bookish video is going to be a kind of late February TBR, which is going to include my TBR for Black History Month and my TBR for the Historical Fictionathon / Historical Fiction Readathon. So let's start off with my TBR for Black History Month. The majority of these books are pulled from my own collection. They are all nonfiction. I do have one book from the library. The first book is one you guys will probably recognize. It is Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shetterly. The movie came out, I think, 1 or 2 years ago, and I didn't get a chance to see it when it was in theaters. So when I saw it in my local thrift store, I was really excited to pick up a copy of the book. Next is another nonfiction book with a movie adaptation. It is The Blindside by Michael Lewis. I really enjoyed the movie and was kind of curious how the book compared to the movie adaptation. So I actually bought this on the same day that I bought Hidden Figures. It was just sort of random. I found them both really nice copies at the thrift store on the same day. So those two books very obviously fit into the theme of Black History Month. The next two I think are a little bit of a stretch, but I think they still, honor the spirit of Black History Month, which is about remembering and recognizing Black history and achievements, but also recognizing our current issues that exist in the country and kind of working on them. So these next two books are more focused on racial issues in general rather than specifically Black history. So the first one I also got at the thrift store. It is Race and Culture, A Worldview by Thomas Sowell. If you don't know, Mr. Sowell is an economist. I actually have a copy of one of his other books called Basic Economics, which I started years ago but haven't finished, so I need to try to get into that this year. The last book is White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism by Robin DiAngelo. So this book I actually reserved ages ago in audiobook form from my library, but it took so long to get it that by the time it popped into my email that it was reserved and I could listen to it, I wasn't in the mood anymore. I don't know if that happens to you guys where you're in a specific mood when you reserve the book and then by the time it gets to you, you're like, not feeling it. So recently I went to the library and found a physical copy of it and was interested again, so I picked it up. Just like Thomas Sowell's book, this is more about racism in general, although this is specifically focused on kind of the issue of white people, specifically in the United States, getting upset about talking about racism, which makes it really difficult to discuss the issues around it and work on it constructively. So this is sort of to help break down those barriers and help people understand, like if you're a white person, why you might respond angrily when you hear racial things and how to kind of overcome that and become a better person and better able to communicate and just add more to the conversation and more to the solution, I guess. So that wraps up the Black History Month TBR. So let's jump into the Historical Fictionathon / Historical Fiction Readathon. So I will have to read my notes for this one because I want to get everyone's names right. But this is a readathon being hosted by Amara Franklin. She's actually a friend of mine. I'll link her channel and the video where she announces it down below. Bree from CallMeAfterCoffee. I think her channel is a booktube channel specifically. Amara is booktube and authortube. And then Kirsty, who has an Instagram but no YouTube channel. So all their links, videos, whatever, are going to be in the description box for you to find. So these ladies came up with 6 prompts for the Historical Fictionathon, although for some reason my brain skipped one, so I only have 5 books to talk about, but there is a little bit of overlap, so a couple of them can count for multiple categories, so it's not that big a deal. And honestly, I have 5 books for the Historical Fictionathon and 4 for Black History Month, so I'm not going to be able to read 9 books in a month, clearly, so it's okay that I don't have a 6th. So the first prompt applies to a couple of my books. I'll just read it off real quick, but it is Time Traveler's Wife. Pick a book from your favorite time period. And by the way, my favorite time period, I typically tell people, is World War II history, but I also love anything Russian related. So Imperial Russia, feudal Russia, early Russia, all Russia, everything Russia is my favorite. So I don't know if that's a period or anything. It's more like an area. All right, prompt number 2 is friendship. Read a book with 2 or more people on the cover. So for this one, I made a little bit of a stretch. I chose The Last Days of Night by Graham Moore. This is definitely not about friendship, and I mean, you can see from the cover, there's one person and there's a statue of an angel, which is sort of like a person, so it counts. But the reason I chose this, it's kind of an anti-friendship story. It's about the rivalry between Thomas Edison and George Westinghouse, who I hadn't heard of until reading this blurb, but there's also Nikola Tesla in here, just shenanigans, drama, all that kind of thing. So I thought it would be fun to kind of do anti-friendship for this prompt instead of friendship. Prompt number 3, St. Valentine, read a historical romance. So one of my favorite series and TV shows is the Poldark series. This is the first novel, the one that I own, Ross Poldark. I've read the first 2. So I picked up the third one, which is Jeremy Poldark. The author of the series is Winston Graham. This is a historical drama set in Britain after the end of the American Revolutionary War. Number 4 is film noir, read a book with a movie adaptation. For this prompt, I chose Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. I watched the Netflix miniseries adaptation of this book like a year or 2 ago, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I saw it at the thrift store. A lot of my stories start with I saw it at the thrift store. Whatever, apparently I'm at the thrift store a lot. But when I saw it at the thrift store, I was very excited, wanted to read it, picked it up. So this is a perfect opportunity to read it. Prompt number 5 is All is Fair in Love and War, read a wartime novel. So those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, you will recognize this one, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaffer and Annie Barrows. I bought this like a year ago during a collab I filmed with Rayleigh Bradshaw. We picked out books for each other, and then from those books that the other person chose, we were supposed to pick one and buy it. So I chose this one. Still haven't read it. I don't know if she's read hers yet, so I feel like a big dork, but it's actually the book I'm currently reading right now since February has already started. But I'm about half of the way through and really enjoying it. This is a good one. It is set right after World War II has ended. However, all of the events discussed within this book are during the war. So I would consider a World War II novel. The last prompt, just whip this into frame, is Back to the Future, read a classic or a retelling of a favorite book. So of course we had to have something Russian in here. I chose The Cossacks by Leo Tolstoy. It's either considered a long short story or a novella, I'm not really sure, but it's only about 150, 160 pages, so it is not long at all. A lot of you probably know already, but I am a Russian linguist. I speak Russian. I also speak a modest amount of Ukrainian. But yeah, I love Russia, but honestly, I have not read a lot of Russian literature, so I'm trying to change that this year. I have this one. I don't know. I've got my own book in the way here, but I've got some more classics back here that I bought last year that I'm going to be reading this year. So I am trying to change that, read some more Russian classics, so this will be the start of that. It's going to be awkward now that I've taken the book down. I wish I hadn't done that. Yeah, those are all of the books I'm going to be attempting to read this month. I already mentioned I think it's 9 books, which means I will not be getting through all 9 in February. So anything I don't finish this month, I'm just going to carry over into March and work on in March. So hopefully I will get through all 9 by the end of March. We shall see. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned today, let me know your general thoughts down in the comments. No spoilers, please. I'd love to hear if you like any of them, if you hate any of them, whatever. If you want to see my wrap up at the end of the month or see more book reviews and writing related content, mostly writing vlogs from me, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here. Anyways, thank you again for watching this video. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and as always, happy reading. Bye.